I'm Guy McPherson of Nature Bats Last, which you can find at guymcpherson.com. With this short video, I'm going to provide an overview of my essay that you can find at the home page at guymcpherson.com. The essay is titled Extinction Foretold, Extinction Ignored. It's been updated periodically, probably for the last time on July 11th, 2020. At the very top of that essay, there's a link to my essay, Ocean Deoxygenation as an Indicator of Abrupt Climate Change. I penned that essay in December 2018, and I created a short video, also released on this YouTube channel, that provides an overview of that particular essay. I'm just going to hit the highlights of Extinction Foretold, Extinction Ignored. If you're serious about your scholarship, you'll probably want to go over to guymcpherson.com and find that essay on the home page and check it out. The highlights then. According to an overview published by European Strategy and Policy Analysis in April 2019, quote, an increase of 1.5 degrees is the maximum the planet can tolerate. Should temperatures increase further, we will face even more droughts, floods, extreme heat, and poverty, and at worst, the extinction of humankind altogether, end quote. In other words, according to this major synthesis, we have passed the point that will trigger human extinction. We have known for decades that the 2C number set in stone by William Nordhaus is dangerous. We were running out of time to deal with greenhouse gases in 1965, according to the chief of the American Petroleum Institute. 14 years later, it was Edward Teller informing Big Oil they needed to change. Exxon accurately predicted where we were headed in 1982, and not only failed to heed the warnings, but kicked the warnings and the future of humanity to the curb. Al Gore and Carl Sagan testified to Congress in 1985 that we must act now on climate change. In late June 1989, Noel Brown, the director of the New York office of the United Nations Environment Program, indicated we had only until the year 2000 to avoid catastrophic climate change. About 16 months after Brown's warning, the Advisory Group on Greenhouse Gases set 1C as the absolute upper limit. In October of 1990, climate speaker and writer David Spratt said 0.5 degrees C was the upper limit in October of 2014. In April of 2006, climate scientist James Hansen said, quote, I think we have less than a decade to avoid passing what I call point of no return, end quote. More than 3 years after passing the 10-year mark, he calls my idea of near-term human extinction crazy. The projected rate of climate change based on IPCC-style gradualism outstrips the adaptive response of vertebrates by a factor of 10,000 times. Closer to Homo sapiens, mammals cannot evolve fast enough to escape the current extinction crisis, as I've pointed out with videos in this space previously. Humans are vertebrate mammals. To believe that our species can avoid extinction, even as non-human vertebrates and non-human mammals disappear, is classic human hubris wrapped in a warm blanket of myth-based human supremacy. The evidence indicates humans will join the annihilation of, quote, all life on Earth, as reported in the journal literature on November 13th, 2018, in a great paper by Strona and Bradshaw pointing to our imminent demise. Even tardigrades, the go-to survivor for those who deny the impacts of abrupt climate change on life, are unlikely to survive, according to a paper in the January 9th, 2020 issue of Scientific Reports. If the organisms on which we depend do not survive, if even tardigrades do not survive, then humans will not survive. We depend greatly upon invertebrates for our continued existence, yet an insect apocalypse is underway, as reported in a review paper in the April 2019 issue of Biological Conservation, and subsequently confirmed in an October 30th, 2019 paper in Nature. We've known about this for a very long time. It was in 1969 that Daniel Moynihan sent a memorandum to John Ehrlichman about the crisis known as climate change. September 17th, 1969. And I'm going to quote very briefly from that memorandum. Quote, on the other hand, this very clearly is a problem. and perhaps most particularly is one that can seize the imagination of persons normally indifferent to projects of apocalyptic change. He's referring specifically to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere problem, as he calls it. Global average temperature was the highest ever with Homo sapiens present, according to a 2017 paper in Earth System Dynamics by James Hansen and colleagues. In other words, our species has never experienced a hotter Earth than the one currently driving the ongoing refugee crisis as habitat for humans disappears. Earth was not quite at the 2°C limit established by Nordhaus at that point, yet we have entered a new climate regime, as pointed out in the June issue of Earth's Future. Quote, overall, our results suggest that we have entered a new climate regime in which the occurrence of extraordinary global-scale heat waves cannot be explained without human-induced climate change, end quote. By May 8, 2020, lethal wet bulb temperatures were contributing to human mortality.